Daddy, please let the girl who's in the trunk out. I missed my spouse when our 4-year-old daughter uttered those things on a family drive. At that moment, he took a glimpse at me. His face was still pale, whether it was intentional or not. With a terrified expression, he peered at our daughter through the rearview mirror. What a terrifying statement. Such lies belong nowhere. From the passenger seat, I shot him a fierce scowl. Then should we pull over at the rest area? We had been married for 5 years, during which time I had dutifully supported him while he was at work. But the mystical power of my daughter was going to reveal the truth. At the age of 27, I, Charlotte Clark, got married to my husband, Freddie. He is my elder by 4 years. Our daughter Sophia was born the next year. She turned 4 years old today and has been growing up healthy and active. Our family was having a busy yet enjoyable time. How about going to the zoo next Sunday? I inquired. Congrats. I am eager to view the giraffes. I could not help but smile at their jovial exchange. Since our first date, my spouse has always been kind, and our daughter's birth hasn't made that any different. He is a perfect father and voluntarily participates in family activities on his days off. I'm very happy that I found this dude. I was watching my daughter and hubby play together and feeling really happy. I had no idea that these quiet days would soon be coming to an end. Oh, so you're moving to a different department? Yes, that's corporate policy. They desire that I have experience in a variety of settings. One day, Freddie returned home and sighed wearily, his face wearing a gloomy expression. Regretfully, it appeared that he was being moved to the busiest department, which implied that he might not have much time to spend with us. Daddy, are you not going to play with me anymore? Sophia, I'll try to get to know you as much as possible. When is a good time to visit the zoo again? With a sorrowful expression on his face, my husband caressed our nervous daughter's head. I was overcome with emotion as I watched the two of them, and I felt a tightening in my chest. Even though it didn't appear like he was moving or getting paid more, our family was nevertheless quite excited about his transfer. I felt lonely just thinking about spending less time together as a family. But Freddie, getting used to his new surroundings, is undoubtedly the one feeling the most vulnerable. Please don't push yourself too hard. I became concerned about him overdoing it, because I knew he had a propensity to get really involved in things. Regretfully, though, my worries proved to be well-founded. Despite his busy schedule, Freddie was able to make time for his family and himself at first. But a month or so later, he abruptly stopped spending as much time at home. He frequently returned home late at night after our daughter had gone to bed, giving the impression that he was working extra. Not only did he start taking his clients out for drinks more frequently, but he also started working on his days off. I was also concerned about him in another way. Hey, would you be able to take Sunday off? You have been working too hard recently, and Sophia misses you. For whom do you think I'm putting in so much effort? Shall I just decline client meetings and run the chance of losing my job? I was merely concerned about him. That's not how I meant it. Anyway, that's none of your concern. Ensure you have cash ready for the drinking celebration that takes place next week. My spouse had been unhappy all the time and had started venting his frustrations on me more regularly, seemed overwhelmed by his workload. Besides, he was blowing a lot of money and said it was for client entertainment. This was beginning to have an effect on our living costs. I was more concerned about his stiff demeanor than frustrated because I knew of his earlier compassion. He was about to burn out from too much work, so I had to figure out how to make him take a break. My spouse had reached a stage where, after 6 months from the transfer, he was essentially returning home to sleep. Furthermore, Sophia started to wear a dejected expression more frequently, since she felt lonely not being able to see him. I was attempting to come up with a plan for him to take a break since I realized that things couldn't continue this way. But even as if to undermine my efforts, misfortune continued to follow. After battling a sickness for a few years, my mother unexpectedly passed away in the hospital. "No! Mom!" exclamation mark. My father had passed away when I was young, and my mother was my only parent. I couldn't even have a proper conversation with her before she passed away. When I heard the news at home, I was so shocked that I couldn't move for a while. However, Freddie's response to me was unbelievably cold. "Hey, do I have to go to that funeral too?" His indifferent attitude shocked me, and I widened my eyes in disbelief. For my husband, the relationship with my mother-in-law may have been somewhat distant, but she was still family. Despite this, he didn't show any sadness or comfort me. Instead, he just complained about having to attend the funeral. "What are you saying? Of course you have to. It's a family funeral. Don't get mad at me. Ugh, why does this have to happen now? I had plans too." Despite my reprimand, Freddie showed no signs of remorse, and I was left shocked. In the past, he would have surely comforted me, perhaps rubbing my back and grieving with me together. But now, as he sighed in dissatisfaction, he seemed nothing like the person I once promised a future with. Naturally, he didn't help with any preparations for my mother's funeral, and I arranged everything alone. On the day of the service, my husband remained silent and sullen. "It's over now, right? I'm heading home first." After the funeral ended, Freddie didn't help with any cleanup and quickly went home. I was initially confused by his reactions, but by then, I had lost the energy to be angry. I was simply bewildered and disappointed in him. No matter how busy and stressed from work he may be, his behavior at the funeral was unacceptable. When did my husband become such a cold person? "Mom, Sophia will help you." Despite feeling frustrated with him, I finished cleaning up with my daughter by my side. Before heading home, I decided to stop by my parents' house for a short while. It wasn't far from our home, and I wanted to reminisce about my mother. After saying goodbye, although I did it as my heart dictated, the decision wasn't wrong. When I arrived at my parents' house with a heavy heart, I discovered something shocking. "Mom, wait a moment." "Huh? Sophia?" As soon as we arrived at my parents' house, my daughter's expression suddenly changed, and she dashed straight into the back room. I had taken her to visit my mother's PLI had never seen her behave like this. Hurrying to follow her, I found Sophia opening the second drawer from the bottom of the dresser, as if she was drawn to it by something. "Mom, Grandma wants you to have this." As I looked at an old hand mirror that my daughter was holding, I couldn't help but catch my breath. The mirror had always been precious to my mother, but she had treasured it so much that even I rarely saw her use it, and I didn't even know where she kept it. Of course, there's no way Sophia could have known about the existence of this hand mirror. "What? How did you know it was here? And what do you mean Grandma wanted me to have it?" "When Grandma was sleeping earlier, she told me that Mom was sad and asked me to give this to you." I couldn't hide my surprise at her innocent answer. I didn't think it was a coincidence, so I asked her some questions. I asked about tomorrow's dinner menu, what I was thinking about, and even thoughts I had during the funeral. All things she couldn't possibly know. Yet to my surprise, she accurately answered every question. I'm not sure how long she has had it, but it seems like my daughter has a mysterious ability to know what people are thinking. "Wow, that's amazing, Sophia. You know everything." I stroked her head, feeling bewildered. I had always thought that the idea of mysterious abilities was just something from stories, but I never imagined she actually had such a power. While I was surprised, she put her hand on her hip and showed a proud look on her face. "That's right. Sophia knows about Dad, too." "What do you mean?" What she told me was incredibly unbelievable and unforgivable. A few weeks after my mother's funeral, I was visiting my friend with Sophia next Sunday in the morning. When I told Freddie, who was about to leave for work, he abruptly stopped and frowned, looking genuinely troubled. "Really? Oh no, I'm off that day. That's too bad." Feeling the artificiality in his voice, I quietly let out a smile so as not to give myself away. Now that I knew the truth, there was no love left for Freddie inside me. On that Sunday, I left home with Sophia, then killed about an hour before returning home. "Dad, he's over there." Then I looked where she pointed and headed towards the garage with the shutter still down. After taking a deep breath, I lightly knocked on the shutter. "Freddie, I know you're in there. Open it." "Huh? Charlotte, I thought you and Sophia had plans." "It's canceled. If you're going somewhere, we want to come with you." He sounded flustered and hesitant to open the shutter. Honestly, I had a pretty good idea of what was going on inside that moment, but I decided to stay quiet and just observe. Sophia wants to go for a drive, too. Unable to resist her hopeful voice, he had no choice but to agree. A few minutes later, Freddie reluctantly opened the garage and started our drive together. Sitting in the passenger seat, I looked at Freddie, who was driving in profile, and I solidified my final decision. The married life with Freddie had truly been enjoyable and happy, but I also firmly understood that those days would never come back. "Hey, did you know Sophia has a special power?" I finally brought it up as we merged onto the highway. My husband furrowed his brows in confusion at the sudden confession. "Huh? What's that supposed to mean? That's a silly joke." He laughed dismissively. "Daddy, the girl in the trunk is asking you to let her out." From the back seat, our daughter confidently raised her voice. I didn't miss how my husband steeled his face at that moment. However, whether he intended to play dumb or not, he, whose face was still pale, looked at our daughter through the rearview mirror with a frightened expression. "Husband? What a scary thing to say. You shouldn't tell such lies." "But it's true. Then should we pull over at the rest area?" When I suggested it on behalf of our daughter, who was hanging her head down, Freddie immediately looked at me with a startled expression. "Huh? We don't need to do that. It's just a kid's joke. Sophia has a mysterious power, you know. Besides, it's hot today, so it could be dangerous if someone's really in there." He must have thought what I said made sense. After Freddie flinched and stiffened, he headed towards the rest area with a contorted expression on his face. Upon arrival, we left our daughter in the air-conditioned car and went outside to check the trunk. "I don't think there's anything in there. Come on, quickly." When I said a word to my husband, who had begun to hesitate at this point, he seemed to realize he couldn't escape anymore and nervously opened the trunk, breaking into a cold sweat. In the next moment, someone jumped out from there. "I knew you were cheating." It was a young woman whose face flushed red from the heat. Yes, it turned out that while Sophie and I were out, Freddie had been cheating with her at home. Probably just as they were about to go for a drive, we came back unexpectedly, so he had no choice but to hide her. He shook his head nervously at the woman who was taken away suddenly and seemed unable to grasp the situation. "No, it's not like that. She is a colleague from work. We were just working together." "Wow, at the new apartment? You're doing a job getting into a trunk?" I chuckled at the blatant and ridiculous lie while standing firm and taking a piece of copy paper from my bag. "And what is this?" It says, "Let's go on a drive date on Sunday." As the woman and Freddie looked at the paper, they turned pale. That was no surprise, as their lovey-dovey email exchanges were printed on it. Thanks to Sophia, I found out everything. On the day of my mother's funeral, at my parents' house, my daughter confided in me. "Daddy has been spending a lot of time with Scarlett lately. I'm sad because Scarlett is taking Daddy away from me." Just having witnessed her power made what she said suspicious, so I decided to investigate my husband for a while after that. Sure enough, I found undeniable evidence of his affair on his phone. So I told you that fake plan because I wanted to punish you. It's a shame it turned into this kind of drive. Hey, it's unfair to look through my phone without permission, Freddie protested, shaking his body in response to my sarcastic words. His absurd remark unintentionally made me burst into laughter. I had assumed he was simply becoming too busy to get home, but it's more likely that he was spending that time with Scarlett, his partner in the affair. Despite all the concerns, he undoubtedly took his frustrations with me and utilized the money for dates with her on a regular basis. Who exactly is being unfair here? I have been taping everything since earlier, by the way. I pulled my phone out of my breast pocket and began to think back on all the many complaints. Actually, I knew this was going to happen, so I took covert advantage of the opportunity to record my phone in order to get proof. The evidence I've gathered since we got into the automobile goes beyond messaging. This video, I also had concealed cameras in the garage and house, but I kept that a secret from you. And Scarlett, I know everything about you too. They both went white as sheets under my onslaught. I was mad at Freddie, but I also couldn't forgive Scarlett, so I looked into my husband's background in great detail and was able to identify her. She was a 25-year-old recent hire who worked with him in a different area. It appears from reading the mails that she knew I existed, but continued the affair. Therefore, she bears some of the responsibility as well. Oh, sorry, Charlotte. I doubt he anticipated being trapped to this extent. I gazed at them both with all my rage, perfectly feeling contempt for Freddie as he moaned and begged in a voice I had never heard before. I refuse to pardon either of you. Get ready to pay alimony. My firm comments made them both fall to their knees, maybe comprehending what was about to happen to them. I then got a divorce from Freddie. They had to pay $300,000 in compensation, but it was all because I had videotaped the scene and collected all the evidence. In addition, I was able to get my husband to pay $500 in child support each month. Their bad luck did not stop there. They worked in the same area, which made things unpleasant, and I've heard that their affair caught on with everyone in the company. Eventually, they broke up. Their co-workers disapproved of them both, and ultimately they were left with no option but to step down. It appears that the strain of the compensation payments forced them to end themselves homeless. I'm currently having quiet days with Sophia in the interim. Sophia has a fantastic power, and I will continue to shower her with love so that she might enjoy a happy life in the future.